Mirabel never understood why her mother hated her. From the time she was small, her mother, Essie, barely spoke to her. No hugs. No smiles. Just long, cold stares and heavy silence. Sometimes, when Mirabel laughed too loudly or asked too many questions, her mother would snap, "Keep quiet," or "Go and meet your grandmother." So that's what she did. She went to Mama Rhoda. Her grandmother was the only one who made her feel safe. When she fell and scraped her knee, Mama Rhoda washed it and told her she'd be fine. When she had bad dreams, Mama Rhoda let her sleep beside her. And when Essie shouted or left for days without telling anyone, it was Mama Rhoda who cooked her food and braided her hair. But Mirabel still hoped. Every birthday, she wished her mother would hug her. Every school play, she looked for her in the crowd. She never came. Then, one morning, everything changed. Mirabel was 10. She woke up and found her mother's room empty. The bags were gone. The bed was neat. Just like that, Essie had left. No goodbye. No note. Nothing. "She's gone to the city," Mama Rhoda said. "It's just the two of us now." Mirabel didn't cry. She just stared at the closed door for a long time. Something inside her shut off that day. She told herself, don't expect anything from her again. And she didn't. The years rolled on. She grew taller. Smarter. Stronger. Mama Rhoda worked hard selling vegetables and roasted plantains to keep Mirabel in school. Mirabel studied harder than anyone else, wanting to prove that she could be great, that she would turn out fine. Mirabel learned early not to wait for anyone to save her. Her mother had walked out and never came back. But Mama Rhoda stayed, and that was enough. By the time she was 12, Mirabel was already different from other girls in the village. She read every book she could find, finished chores before anyone asked, and listened when adults talked about life. People often said, "That girl is going somewhere." Mama Rhoda encouraged her. "Your future is bigger than this village," she would say, wiping sweat from her face after a long day at the market. "But you must work for it." Mirabel did her best. She woke at dawn to fetch water, cleaned the compound, helped her grandmother roast plantain to sell, and still arrived at school before the bell rang. She never complained. She had a goal, to leave the life her mother left her in and build something better. When she wrote her secondary school exams, she passed with flying colors. So well, in fact, that a local NGO paid her full university tuition. She cried that day, not because she was afraid, but because something inside her finally said, "You're getting out." At university, Mirabel studied nursing. It wasn't easy. She didn't have rich parents to send her money. She ate Gary many nights and sewed old clothes to look neat. But she never begged. Never gave up. She worked during holidays, cleaning offices, assisting in clinics, anything honest. She graduated with honors at 21. By 23, she was working at a top hospital in Abuja. She had her own apartment, a savings account, and even bought Mama Rhoda a new mattress and gas cooker. Everyone who had once pitied her now respected her. Mirabel was no longer the girl her mother left behind. She was Mirabel Okizi, registered nurse, known for her discipline, neat handwriting, and calm smile. And she was just getting started. Mirabel didn't believe in luck. She believed in showing up on time, doing the work, and minding her business. That was her life in Abuja. Home. Hospital. Church. Repeat. She didn't have time for love. Men had come and gone, most of them not serious. Some pitied her because she was raised by her grandmother. Others wanted a woman who would leave her dreams behind and just be a wife. Mirabel always smiled politely, then moved on. One rainy evening, she stopped by a pharmacy to pick up medication for a patient. The place was busy. People argued over prices, umbrellas dripped water on the tiles, and the air smelled like disinfectant. She almost didn't notice him at first, tall, clean-cut, standing behind her in line, holding a bottle of cough syrup. But then she dropped her receipt, and he bent down to hand it to her. "Careful," he said. "The floor's slippery." "Thank you," she replied, not looking up for too long. She thought that was it. But the next week, he showed up at the hospital, this time in a tailored shirt and holding a gift bag. "You forgot this," he said, handing her a notebook she didn't know was missing. "You left it at the pharmacy counter." That got her attention. His name was Nathan Dyke. A biomedical engineer who ran a tech company focused on medical devices. Calm voice. Clean laugh. He wasn't trying to impress her, he listened more than he spoke. They started seeing each other at lunch. Then on weekends. And before long, it felt like he had always been part of her life. Mama Rhoda liked him instantly. "He's quiet like your grandfather," she said. "But when he speaks, he means it." He respected her work. Never once asked her to quit. In fact, he donated smart monitors to the children's ward where she worked. By the time she turned 26, he proposed in the most honest way, on a quiet evening at her home, with no crowd, no camera. Just him, kneeling, holding a small box. "Marry me, Mirabel," he said. "Let's build something strong." And for the first time in years, she said yes without fear. The wedding date was set. November 3rd, small, classy, and deeply personal, just the way Mirabel wanted it. No crowd-pleasing. No noise. Just real people and quiet joy. She had come a long way. The hospital gave her 2 weeks off. Mama Rhoda's eyes shone with pride as they went fabric shopping together, picking lace, wrappers, and beads. Nathan handled the venue and sent his family's tailor to fit everyone in Mirabel's compound. It still felt surreal to her. She was marrying a man who saw her, really saw her, and loved her with all her flaws, and yet, people started asking, "Your mother," the head nurse said one day while flipping through the wedding invitation. "She'll be at the wedding, right?" Mirabel paused. "She's not in my life." "Oh," the nurse said quietly. "Sorry." That word, sorry, always came with pity. But Mirabel didn't feel pity for herself. She was not broken. She had built this life with her own 2 hands, brick by brick. Yet, the question stayed in her mind. Where was Essie now? She hadn't heard a single word from her in 16 years. Not a letter. Not a phone call. Not even a whisper from the village. Mama Rhoda had long stopped speaking about her. "Let sleeping dogs lie," the old woman would say. And Mirabel had accepted that. Until now. Now she was about to take a new name, start a new home, and the name of the woman who gave her life suddenly felt like a shadow in the room. Uninvited. Unspoken. But present. One evening, Nathan caught her staring out the window. "You okay?" he asked. "Yes," she replied, but her voice was too soft to believe. He waited. She finally added, "I just wish my whole story didn't feel like a puzzle with a missing piece." Nathan didn't try to fix it. He just reached for her hand and held it. And that, more than words, helped her breathe again. But life has a strange way of circling back. Because just 1 week to the wedding, as Mirabel stood at the market helping her grandmother with last-minute things, she looked up and saw Essie. The mother she hadn't seen since she was 10. Essie stood by the plantain seller's stall like she belonged there. But she didn't. Not to Mirabel. Not anymore. Her hair was carefully styled, her nails neat, her clothes new. She looked nothing like the tired woman who walked away 16 years ago. She smiled like they were old friends. "Mirabel," she said, like the name had lived on her tongue all this time. Mirabel didn't smile back. "What are you doing here?" Mama Rhoda turned sharply, her hands frozen mid-counting change. "You," she said under her breath. "I came to see my daughter, S.A. replied. No, Mama Rhoda snapped, eyes sharp. You have no right to call her your daughter. You didn't raise her. Mirabel didn't speak. Her hands were cold, her mind trying to catch up with her heartbeat. S.A. stepped closer, carrying the scent of expensive perfume and old memories. I know I made mistakes, S.A. said, lowering her voice. I was young, scared, angry. The man I loved denied knowing me as soon as I got pregnant. I was wrong to have put the blame on you. I'm sorry I wasn't in your life. I followed your story. I knew you became a nurse. I saw the wedding news on Facebook. That's how I found you. Mirabel blinked. Facebook, you didn't reach out when I got into school, she said quietly. Or when I graduated. Or when I moved to Abuja. You waited till I was getting married. S.A. swallowed hard. I didn't know how to come back before now. Mirabel almost laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. You left a child and your mother and not once did you look back, not once did you wonder what became of us. You really have no conscience. You blamed me for mistakes you made, for things I had no part in. People were starting to notice. Mama Rhoda stepped in, shielding her granddaughter. You've said your part. You can go. But S.A. didn't move. I'm not here for anything. I want to be at the wedding. I want to be part of her life. Mirabel looked at her, really looked, at the woman who gave her life, but never her time, never her love. Isn't it a little bit too late for that? She said flatly. And she walked away. That night, she couldn't sleep. Not because of her wedding plans. But because she didn't know what hurt more, S.A. showing up after all these years, or part of her still wishing she'd come sooner. The compound was full of soft music, laughter, and women tying geli under mango trees. Nathan's family had arrived from Enugu. Friends were flying in. The cake was being set up in the church hall. And still, in all that noise, Mirabel was quiet. The night before the wedding, she sat with Mama Rhoda on the veranda. The moonlight lit the wrinkles on her grandmother's face. Her voice was calm, but firm. She doesn't deserve a seat, Mama Rhoda said, threading a needle in her lap. But maybe you need to give her one. Mirabel didn't answer immediately. Why should she have a sit at my wedding? It's like I'm rewarding her for being absent in my life, for never being a mother to me. Mama Rhoda looked at her, long and soft. You're not rewarding her. You're releasing yourself. Silence stretched between them like fabric. That night, Mirabel went into her room and wrote a note. Short. Direct. It read, you can attend the wedding. Sit quietly. No drama, please. This isn't about you, I'm not doing it for you, Mirabel. She gave it to a neighbor who knew where S.A. was staying. She wanted to move into her new life on a clean slate without bitterness or anger. The morning came like a blessing. Mirabel's dress was simple and elegant, the lace hugging her figure like it had been made by someone who knew her story. Nathan waited at the altar, eyes full of quiet pride. The church was packed. Smiles. Prayers. A choir that could melt stone. And S.A. sat at the back. She wore a blue dress and looked smaller than Mirabel remembered. She didn't smile. She didn't cry. She just watched. Mirabel didn't look her way again after the first glance. Because this day wasn't about reconciliation or regret, that it was about love, about grace. And choosing joy. When Nathan took her hand and whispered, "You're home now," she knew she had made peace with the past, by refusing to let it steal the beauty of her present. The guests had gone. The lights were dim. Only a few wrappers still hung on the clothesline, forgotten in the celebration. Mirabel stood barefoot on the veranda of her grandmother's house, holding a warm cup of tea. The wedding had been beautiful. Not perfect. But real. Honest. The kind of day that makes you stop and breathe. Nathan was already inside, talking with his parents. Mama Rhoda had gone to bed early, her heart full, her legs tired from dancing with the energy of a woman 20 years younger. And S.A. She left after the ceremony. Quietly. No fuss. Just a glance in Mirabel's direction as she exited the church. A look that said 1,000 things, sorrow, shame, maybe something like pride, but no words were exchanged. None needed. Mirabel didn't cry. She didn't need to. She had cried all those years alone. At 10, 11, 12, when school fees were due and her mother didn't call. When birthdays came and went without a card. She had already wept enough for 2 childhoods. Now, she was done weeping. That night, she opened her journal and wrote, "I forgive you. But from afar. I don't need your love to be whole anymore." And that was the truth. The next morning, she and Nathan returned to Abuja. Her life didn't magically change, it had been changing slowly, daily, in every decision she made to rise above the pain. She opened a maternity clinic 6 months later. Called it Rhoda's Grace. A soft, quiet building where healing felt like home. People came from villages far and near. Children got free checkups. Mothers sat under shade trees while their babies were treated inside. And somewhere in that steady, peaceful work, Mirabel found something better than pain. She found peace. S.A. never visited again. And that was okay. Some wounds don't close with apologies. Some wounds close when you stop picking at them, and build something beautiful instead.